Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the comprehensive yet informal study of Kant's Critique of Pure Reason. I'm Matt here with Harrison and Pat, and we're continuing the transcendental logic. We are still in the transcendental deduction of the pure concepts of understanding, and specifically, we've been talking lots about the process of apperception and kind of how concepts um, and the pure concepts of the understanding, how they kind of work and how they interact with things like intuitions and how we use our perception to create experiences. But well, we actually haven't really been talking too much about the whole experience. I think we've gotten pretty into like objects being combined, uh, and then we went from there to talking more about these kinds of things where, um, like the purpose of copulas, uh, combined with how intuitions are brought under the understanding. Um, and so he hasn't really proved anything yet, but he's going more into the details. He's laying out the groundwork for the process of perception in more detail. And now we have the section called Remark, which is what we're going to cover today. And we may even be able to do. Actually, this is another long title, so I'll save this for a separate recording, but we still might do it tonight depending on how much time we have. So we will get started off with Remark and see where that takes us. Does anybody have any other preliminary remarks before we begin Remark?
Remark.
Mm-hmm.
It's very ominous.
I do have
Maybe
a
threatening.
a very brief question, and that is, let me finish. Critique of your reason. What is copula?
Copula is that
Yes.
thing we talked about a session or two ago, where it's kind of like the middle word of the judgment in something like a categorical judgment, where if we say like sheep is white, it is the is in sheep
Right,
is white.
right. Okay, yeah, copula. So then I guess like the joiner between. Okay.
Yeah, and Kant was beefing with the logicians of his time because he's saying they don't really explore what that is, and I want to know what that is because that's important for my theory of how the understanding interacts with experience. So I mean that's not literally what he says word for word, but that's kind of the overarching concern, I think. um, so we went from that, and then we explored how intuitions are brought under that understanding, which uh, involves that copula and other concepts, how it's brought under it, and now we've reached this remark, which is vague, and we're gonna investigate it.
Yeah.
So are you all good, Harrison?
Yes, I'm just writing down the definition.
Yeah, no problem. Let me know when you're ready to get started.
It's what is.
Well, yeah. I just want to have it more. I'm writing down a little formal one. So link subject of the sentence with.
Oh, while you're doing that, I'm going to bring up a soundboard.
Yeah.
Bruh.
Can you guys hear that? Oh, probably not, because I think I'm only.
Oh no, I don't.
Darn. It's on the recording.
Well, you should. I think there's something you can do. You could use Kenku.
Probably just.
All right, whatever. It's at the recording. We can work that out later.
Yeah.
Would the word like R also be a copula?
Bruh.
Yes.
It is R.
Yeah, I wanted to get a soundboard because sometimes Kant says some quite silly things, and we're just like, oh my goodness. So, I wanted to add a
Lol.
soundboard to kind of,
Oh my god, bro.
Oh, hell no, man. What the
hell
fuck,
no.
man? Get your ass off.
all right, that's a good one. I'll specify this. So when Kant says something silly, particularly silly enough to warrant a button press, this is the button I will press, and you guys will hear it later, because I don't want to mess with the screen while we just have it all nice and set up. So yeah, let me know when you're set, Harrison. We'll get going reading.
I am all set.
Okay, cool.
So, hold on. Is this going to be part of the recording, or what's going on?
Yeah, this is just recording.
Oh.
I can probably edit it out later. This will be easier to edit than the other ones that I'm waiting to edit because I believe this actually saves an MP4. But it's not a big deal either way. It's only like a minute or two. Alright, who wants to get going reading on this?
I
Huh?
could read.
You want to read?
I could.
Alright.
Yeah.
Take it away then.
A manifold that is contained in an intuition that I call mine is represented as belonging to the necessary unit of self-consciousness through the synthesis of the understanding, and this takes place by means of the category. This indicates
Sorry, there's a footnote.
the ground of proof rests on the represented unity of intuition through which an object is given, which always includes a synthesis of the manifold that is given for an intuition and already contains the relation of the latter to unity of apperception.
Okay, we can keep reading. Sorry, just wanted to make sure we highlight.
That's okay. This indicates, therefore, that the empirical consciousness of a given manifold intuition stands under a pure a priori self-consciousness, just as empirical intuitions stand under a pure sensible one, which likewise holds a priori. In the above proposition, therefore, the beginning of a deduction of the pure concepts of the understanding has been made, in which, since the categories arise independently from sensibility, merely in the understanding, I must abstract from the way in which the manifold for an empirical intuition is given, in order to attend only to the unity that is added to the intuition through the understanding by means of the category. In the sequel, section 26, it will be shown from the way in which the empirical intuition is given in sensibility that its unity can be none other than the one the category prescribes to the manifold of a given intuition, in general according to the preceding section 20. Thus, by the explanation of its a priori validity in regard to all objects of our senses, the aim of the deduction will first be fully attained.
Okay, so that is the first paragraph of Remark. So it's basically just talking about how, or elaborating on, I guess, how the manifold is connected to the understanding through unity, or it is unified by the understanding. And then this footnote here. Yeah, includes a synthesis of the manifold that is given. Already contains the relation of the latter to the unity.
How are we quantifying a single intuition? The synthesis of a manifold that is given for an intuition.
Already contains the relation of the latter. So the latter being the intuition. Okay, yeah, I don't know if he's really saying much here. uh,
Yeah, sorry, I wasn't able to focus. There was a distraction in my environment.
that's okay.
Um,
Um, yeah, I don't really think Kant is saying anything new here.
yeah, that's pretty typical.
Yeah, I didn't know if anyone else had anything, but just seems to be basically saying that uh, intuitions are unified by the understanding in the synthetic unity of apperception. So, okay. um, someone want to read the next paragraph then?
Sure. In the above proof, however, I still could not abstract from one point, namely from the fact that the manifold for intuition must already be given prior to synthesis of the understanding, and independently from it. How, however, is here left undetermined. For if I wanted to think of an understanding that itself intuited, as say the divine understanding, which would not represent given objects, but through whose representation the objects would themselves at the same time be given or produced, then the categories would have no significance at all with regard to such a cognition. They are only rules for an understanding whose entire capacity consists in thinking, i.e., in the action of bringing the synthesis of the manifold that is given to it in intuition from elsewhere to the unity of apperception, which therefore cognizes nothing at all by itself, but only combines the material for cognition. The intuition which must be given to it through the object. But for the particularity of our understanding, that is able to bring about the unity of apperception a priori, only by means of the category, and only precisely this kind of and number of them. A further ground may be offered, just as little as one can be offered, why we have precisely these and no other functions for judgment, or why space and time are the sole forms of our possible intuition. Um,
Um,
so yeah, Hegel would clearly not agree with that. But
yeah,
but Kant is essentially saying here that the understanding we have is simply uh, applicable to intuitions which are already given to us, uh, and to ask why they are as they are would be futile because the categories of our understanding are just part of our nature, and our nature is just the nature we have, and we don't have any way of knowing why that's our nature.
yeah. I remember like people like were asking in my modern philosophy class why there are s- why things are like this, and Dr. Lee's like, Kant just says that is the way it is. we like
We
why
have
are there
no way
five
of knowing.
senses? He's like, it's like asking why are there five senses? That's just how it is. Why are
But you
there?
could ask why there are five senses, as a matter of fact, right? That's a legitimate question for evolutionary biology. Well, first of all, there aren't five senses, but if you
Yeah,
want to know about the evolution of any particular organ, any physical organ at all, there is, of course, an explanation,
yeah, that's
right?
true. Yeah, and we
So,
can't do such an investigation with this.
does Kant reject that there's a PSR here? Probably not. I think he's saying that the PSR, the sufficient reason, the actual reason for us having the categories of judgment that we do, the categories of the understanding, the functions for judgment, lies outside of our understanding. That
Yeah,
there is such a reason, but it lies in the thing itself and is inaccessible to us,
yeah,
is likely what he's
and
saying.
this is going to be a recurring like theme with Kant that post-Kantians beef, kind of like you were alluding to earlier. But that is the way it is for Kant. So
This actually strikes me as actually spooky and implausible in a way that, like, so in a different way, right? The both of us, right, have sort of an inclination towards maybe we can transcend in some way this phenomenon noumena distinction, right? You and me, Matt. But when I look at this, I feel like something different goes on, which is that if these are my categories of judgment, right, my intuition of space and time,
Mhm.
it seems like I should be able to understand why they are as they are. Because the reasons, if they do lie outside of me, wouldn't the effect also lie outside of me?
Yeah. Um,
So it does
that's
seem
Hegel's critique,
immediately sort of
basically.
weird. Yeah.
Hegel's
I
critique
mean,
is
I know
like
it
if
is
it's
Hegel's
outside of
critique.
consciousness, how does consciousness affected by it?
I know it's Hegel's critique. I guess I'm just remarking that it's
I mean, I agree with that
more
critique.
intuitive than it normally seems at this moment.
Sure. Yeah, I agree with you. Um, and that is the remark. That was kind of underwhelming. I was expecting something cool and mysterious, and that was a lot of
Never expect Kant to be cool.
damn. um, all right, well that's remark. I didn't get to use the soundboard. That was just kind of boring. This is definitely one of those boring sections I think we've read.
I don't know what's on the soundboard. I feel so left out.
Darn. Here, once I end this recording, I will try to redo the screen share so it just gets my whole like monitors worth of content basically, and you can hear it. All right. Well, let me do that. We'll end this recording, and we'll come back to you guys with the category has no other use for the cognition of things than its application to objects experience. Oh, okay, yeah. So we're gonna get a lot more of like phenomena limitation. It seems like. If you've heard that like Kant is depressing and like has like weak epistemology, not like weakly like defended, but like just kind of like weak in terms of like the powers of
Highly limited.
yeah, highly limited. This is a big example. I'm sure it comes later when he actually specifically like does talk about noumena and phenomena, but it seems like we're gonna get some of that here. So if you're not into that, sorry, but we will march on regardless until we are through this critique of pure reason. So stick around for the antinomies at least. The antinomies are based and cool, and then they provide lots of content for post Kant philosophy, which we also just started our Hegel study. So check that out too if you haven't. If you're interested in this, you're almost definitely interested in that. And that really has no boring things. I can almost guarantee you, like it does with this. So yeah. Well, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time for section 22. Yippee!
Yeah.